Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
I just like to do my thing, but I really appreciate all you guys. I know all of you. I know you've been real fair to me and real fair to Somerville and the Somerville schools. I just appreciate all you people too, and this is a big enough crowd for me.
Well, I don't know how all you feel today. If you are a native of South Carolina or you've lived here long enough and you are a follower of high school sports, maybe as a former player, a former coach, a parent, especially football, I don't know how you feel. I feel kind of sad. I feel kind of sad with the official announcement this morning by John McKissick that at the ripe old age of 88, for whatever reason, he has decided he's had enough after 63 years of coaching football at Somerville. I don't know what drove him to this rash decision to retire today, but we congratulate him nonetheless. Happy for him. Like I like to say when this sort of thing happens, happy for him, pro, sad for us, because we lose indeed a icon. He's not dead, don't get me wrong, but I'm talking about in terms of his involvement in football. We lose an icon here in South Carolina who reached out beyond the football field to impact so many lives, but of course, most of his work done right there between the white lines.
Well, it was inevitable. I mean, nothing is eternal.
I thought he was. I thought he would coach forever.
Well, he probably will. He'll be a consultant somewhere. Somebody's going to be calling him.
Somerville.
Ex-players have called him all over the country that he's put out. We don't know how. He doesn't have a coaching tree. He has a coaching orchard. So apparently he will be somewhere on Friday night, not coaching, but coaching in his head.
He'll be sitting in the stands at Somerville at the stadium that bears his name and maybe watching his grandson coach the team this coming year. That has not been determined yet. Coach McKissick will join us here at the bottom of the hour to talk about this day and what it's been like for him. The outpouring of reaction from not just in this state but across the country has been great. And, of course, Steve Spurrier and Dabo Sweeney sent out their best wishes to Coach McKissick on this day as well. Now, from Clemson, the reports coming out late this afternoon from the Orange and Whites, Anderson Independent Mail, Clemson Insider. They're all saying that the deal is done. Monty Lee will be Clemson's new baseball coach. Charleston Post and Courier not going quite so far as saying that as of late this afternoon. They're saying that the deal is done, that they've been talking and discussing contract and things of that nature, but the deal is not done. That might just be a delay to give Lee the opportunity to go back to Charleston, meet with his team, and tell them in person instead of it being reported in the news. He was at Clemson today meeting with Dan Radakovich for a third time. So I think you can read those tea leaves to say that Monty Lee will be Clemson's new baseball coach. Back in a moment. right, we'll take your phone calls on today's developing stories here in just a moment. 800-956-7266. Our email talkback at sportstalksc.com, on Twitter at sportstalksc. At Omaha, LSU has just defeated Cal State Fullerton in an elimination game. And I didn't catch the final. Is it 4-3?
5-3.
5-3. LSU wins at 5-3 after trailing 3-0. 5-13-0 to 3-6-0. So LSU stays alive. In Boston, top of the eighth, Braves are trailing the Red Sox 6-2 after winning last night up at Fenway. Red Sox trying to snap a 7-game losing streak. And a couple of other quick notes to tell you about. A couple of Clemson's top baseball recruits signed pro contracts today, or within the last day or so, according to the MLB.com signing tracker. Shortstop Cornelius Randolph, he signed with the Phillies, $3.2 million. He was the 10th pick in the draft by the Phillies. And another Tiger signee and shortstop, Jalen Miller. Both of these guys are from Georgia, by the way. He has signed with the Giants. He was the 95th pick. He signed for $1.1 million signing bonus with the San Francisco Giants. So we have seen some of the top players from our state in terms of connection to our state sign their contracts. Randolph, Nadert, Miller, Taylor Clark, Zach Irwin. Those were the first 5 players with state connections taken in the draft. They have signed. Carl Wise of Charleston signed. Crownover from Clemson signed. Logan Allen, USC recruit, he has signed as well. So those are the latest 2 that we've come across as having signed their contracts. A couple of other quick things to tell you about. Frank Martin today, USC basketball coach, announced the signing of 3 players, Eric Cobb, Raymond Doby, and Jamal Gregory. Those are 3 guys that committed to the Gamecocks, and they had signed before the end of the signing period back in May. So no mention here of the other player that they are waiting on to complete some academic work, waiting on a test score to come back, Trayvon Bunch up in Racine, Wisconsin. June 26th is that date. However, 3 that he's announcing, these 3 put the Gamecocks at the 13 scholarship limit. My hunch is that they're not expecting Bunch to make it, though Bunch's coach thinks he's going to make it, based on the fact that they're announcing these 3, and it puts them at 13. And it's kind of late to lose anybody now out of your program. My guess is that they are figuring that he's not going to make it. Let's see. What else to tell you? Richard Mullaney, wide receiver from Oregon State, is transferring to Alabama. Tweeted that out today. He's a graduate transfer. He'll be eligible immediately with 1 year of eligibility. He recently visited Alabama. 6'3" wide receiver, 83 career catches, 1,160 yards, and 5 touchdowns while he was at Oregon State. And I think that is it for now. 800-956-7266 is our phone number. John McKissick retires today. Monty Lee reportedly set to be Clemson's new baseball coach. So here we are on a hot day in mid-June when things should be calm and quiet and things are bubbling up all over. And we are, well, actually yesterday, I meant to mention this yesterday. Yesterday was the 1 month until the SEC Media Days begin. The craziness that is SEC Media Days, 4 days of football bliss in beautiful Hoover, Alabama.
Well, still there's nobody being given a summons, though. That was
Now, you can't beat the days of Philip Fulmer.
That was nice.
You cannot beat those kind of days. It's too bad. I mean, everything now is just so businesslike at the SEC Media Days. Always has been, but we just, Lou Holtz not showing up because they couldn't fly out of Columbia one day, pissing off everybody and having to do a press conference via the phone. And so the TV people just had to shoot the phone, record the phone for Lou Holtz when he didn't show up that particular year. That really irritated the SEC people to no end. Holtz's first day his first SEC Media Day. That was back when they used to have it at the Sheraton Hotel in downtown Birmingham. And he came in the back door and came up an escalator. And, I mean, you would have thought the Pope was coming up that escalator the way the media, not you, Pope. I'm talking about the Pope, not Graham Pope. I'm talking about the Pope. No, the way he was coming up the escalator, I mean, there was media from all over the country there because this was Lou Holtz returning to coaching and coaching in the SEC for the second time. Well, actually, Arkansas was not in the SEC at that time, not back when he coached there.
No.
That was quite a big moment as well. All right, to the phones we go, 800-956-7266, up to Spartanburg. And Cedric joining us here on Sports Talk. Hi, Cedric. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing fine, guys. It's a bittersweet day for me. I'm a big McKissick fan from that area, from Somerville originally, and hated to see such a legend go before he got at least one more title.
Yeah.
But I just feel like it's when I guess he was saying when you feel like you can't go. If I didn't get to hear what he said, and I was really calling to see if if he felt like he was tired or what it was.
That answer would be yes. I think he realized the time is now at 88, that maybe the energy just isn't there for him any longer. The demands of the job, even though he had delegated a lot of the authority to his staff, he's still the head coach, and he still has to be involved in game planning and game activities and things that you have to do as a head coach. And maybe he just didn't feel like he had the energy. And, of course, as David Shelton mentioned last night, his wife's been a little bit down health-wise, and he's dealing with that too. So, look, I mean, we joke about it and all that, but 88 is still 88, and that's up
there. That's a long time.
Yeah. I mean, 63 years of walking the sideline, and of course, it's not just game day Fridays; it's 7 days a week for those guys during football season. On top of that, he was the athletic director for all those years too, so he had to handle all that stuff.
And Phil, the game has changed since let's say the 70s, 80s, and 90s. The game has really changed. Because now you pretty much and if his grandson is going to be the coach, I'm interested to see if he's going to get this team into a lot of the 7-on-7 that a lot of the teams here in the upstate participate in, which really helps these teams. And with Somerville being in that area with all the schools that have come up and taken a lot of kids away from their program, they kind of need any edge that they can get, to be relevant, to get back in the fray of things. And I think that it would be a great idea to get that team in a 7-on-7, and I think it would help the program, to make if he's going to make any changes. If not, then so be it. But I think that it would help Somerville.
Well, I will say this about McKissick. You got to remember, McKissick was throwing the football when he had guys like Perry Cuda before a lot of high schools were throwing the football.
What a great name for a quarterback.
And remember, where did A.J. Green come from?
Somerville.
I think it was Somerville. Mm-hmm. He knows how to throw the football.
I mean, think of the players that he's had over the years. You mentioned two great ones right there. How about the Jennings brothers, Stanford and Keith, and, of course, Zach Bailey just from Somerville going to South Carolina, and one of the greatest offensive linemen to ever come out of the state of South Carolina. Remember him? Kevin Long.
Oh, yeah.
Went to Florida State. Brad Scott. And that recruitment of Kevin Long by Brad Scott opened up everybody's eyes in South Carolina who follow recruiting to Brad Scott.
Remember Brooke Shields calling Perry Cuda because she thought his name was cool?
Absolutely. Those are some great times. We'll be right back. Thanks for your call. Man, my thermometer in my car today driving downtown Columbia hit 105. What was the actual high temperature? You know?
I think it was 101.
Yeah, 105 my car was reading today.
Better put some antifreeze.
No, not the engine thermometer. No. I'm talking about the temperature.
How long have you lived here, Corn?
That's the engine thermometer.
I've lived here long enough to know it gets pretty dang hot.
Not a new story, huh?
Yeah. Thank you, Steak Man.
I used to
Don't speak unless spoken to, please.
I love
we have a media war going on over Monty Lee.
Really?
Well, I think I'm not saying anything about who's right and who's wrong here. I think that Anderson and Clemson Insider are right on it as far as him being the guy. However, Aaron Brenner, who writes for the Post and Courier, doing his due diligence and taking the official word from his official source at Clemson, tweeted out a moment ago, there will be no announcement regarding Clemson's head baseball coach this evening, and there is no deal finalized at this time. Of course, I think he's getting the word, my guess is, from right in the Clemson office, and that's the official word they want to put out. My guess is that Monty wants the time to go back to Charleston, meet with his people, thank everybody before the official announcement is made by Clemson. That could come tomorrow or Thursday, I would guess, at the latest at this point. All right, back to the phones we go. Coach McKissick coming up at the bottom of the hour. Lee in Columbia listening to us on the point. Hey, Lee, welcome into Sports Talk.
Good evening, gentlemen. When you talk to Coach McKissick, tell him I want to thank him for the 70s. I played down in football, and we played my team. We've been on a 3-game winning streak and went to Somerville. I want to thank him for throwing in the towel at the end of the third quarter.
How bad was it?
75 zip. And you know what? Our coach was one of these hard-head coaches. Keep playing. Coach McKissick took his team off the field, threw in the towel, and said, your boys had enough.
What? Who were you playing for?
I hate to say it, Burke.
Oh, you were playing for Burke. Okay.
Yeah.
And they were beating you 75-0.
They had the week before they played a tough game against Middleton. I think they lost like 3-0. That was a tough game.
Yeah.
We had won 3 in a row. So we thought we had, man, it caused us to have to go to practice 6 o'clock in the morning for the rest of the season.
Hey, look, Burke's a basketball school. We all know that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You tell him thank you for throwing that towel in that night on a rainy, cold night in Somerville.
He called off the dogs on you, huh?
Yes, he did.
All right, man. Thank you very much. I just have this picture of Coach McKissick that has been emblazoned in my mind since the first time I saw it. It was in the Post and Courier many years ago. I guess he was in his 70s. It was a picture of him taken during summer practice, the beginning of two-a-days, and he was shirtless, and he was standing on top of the blocking sled.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you giving? What are you?
No, that's what McKissick did to Burt.
The what?
Thumbs down. Thumbs down.
Anyway,
Gladiator Corn.
He is standing on the blocking sled with his boys down in their stance, pushing the sled, and there he is with a whistle around his neck, no shirt on, looking prime, but he was in his 70s at that time. Great picture. Well, it's not just a historic day here in South Carolina. The announcement by John McKissick that he is retiring is a national story. It's been picked up all over the country by the major media outlets, and the big-time sports folks have been talking about it from one end of the country to the other. And it's our pleasure to have John McKissick with us once again here on Sports Talk. Coach, how are you?
I'm fine, Phil. How are you?
We're doing great. We're doing great. Like I said at the beginning of the show, we're kind of sad, but we're happy for you because you're going out on your terms, as of course you always wanted to do. Just tell us how this day has been for you.
Well, it's been kind of hectic and really emotional. You know, when you've been getting up in the morning, showering, shaving, and going to the same place for 63 years, it's got to be a little sad. But yet, I feel so fortunate and lucky that I've been surrounded by a lot of good athletics here at Summerville. I've been surrounded by a lot of good administrators, the district office, the board of trustees, and everybody has always looked at athletics as an important part of the total school curriculum because young kids are involved. I've had people that will tell me, Coach, one of your football players did so-and-so, one of your baseball players did so-and-so. I said, wait a minute now, one of ours, not mine. I mean, they ours, and 99% of them are great kids. Sometimes you'll have one to stray, but I've enjoyed it, and I'm gonna still hang around it. And I've been invited by the administration to hang around, and they'll even give me an office if I want it. And it's gonna be a little emotional to start with, but I've had a good run, and everybody knows it. And Phil, I appreciate what you do for athletics too. You do a great job, and there's a lot of people out there that have.
Why today? Why this year, this month, the time for you to decide that at the age of 88, after 63 years, that it was time to hang it up?
Well, my wife and I talked, and she said, you know, John said, you'll be 89 in September when the season gets started, and said, don't you think maybe it's time? And of course, you've heard me say this before. Old Satchel Paige said, if you didn't know how old you were, how old would you be? Well, I know how old I am, so maybe it's time that I stepped aside and let the other guys take over, and I'm sure it'll still be a good run with the administration behind them.
Was this one of those decisions that you went back and forth on, and like one day you decided, yeah, I'm going to do it. The next day I'm like, no, I still want to coach. Were you back and forth over this?
I was a little bit, but you know, at 89, you can imagine how many years has been going on with people asking me, Coach, when you going to retire? Since I was 80 years old. Well, 80 years old is kind of old. Maybe I should have retired at 80, but you know how things work, Phil. If a lot of people retire too young and they don't have enough money to do what they want to do, then a lot of people retire when they're too old and they don't want to do nothing. So, you know, it kind of works that way. You understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah, sort of. Not totally, but sort of. but health-wise today at 88, going to be 89, I mean, if you wanted to coach another year health-wise and do the things required, do you feel like you could have?
I believe I could have, but I felt it was for my family, and I've had a great wife who's been not only a friend but a good wife and a good person, and 100% behind everything I've done. And I have 2 daughters, and I have 6 great-grandchildren, 4 grandchildren, so I've enjoyed them. And, you know, I had 3 grandboys to play here for me. 2 of them were quarterbacks, and one was a linebacker that played at PC. Joe played at the Citadel, and Donnie, he played here. They moved here when he was a senior so he could play for me. and he went on to Clemson, and he's out at SMU now with Chad Morris coaching. So it's been a good run for me too.
Did anybody today in your meeting in the administration office there, when you went in there, did anybody try to talk you out of it, or did everybody know when you went into that meeting today what your plan was, what your intention was?
Well, I think they might have figured, because I told them that maybe that I like to go ahead and retire and get it over with, and then kind of relax a little bit and think about it. But I still think I'm healthy enough that I could have handled it one more year. But right now, my offensive coordinator is my grandson, and I didn't want to bring that up because they say, well, that's his kin.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to push for him. But he's done a great job. He's got a heck of a lot more experience than I had when I started. And he graduated down at the Citadel. He was president of the Honor Society when he was a senior. So he's a good guy, and I think, I'm not sure, but I think they're going to name him the interim this late in the game. They're not going to get out and advertise.
Mm-hmm.
I think they'll make him interim head coach in football. And I think that's real good. And then they'll probably, I don't know whether it's a state law or what, that you got to advertise. But you know what a resume is when you're advertising, and the guy sends a resume in, it's like a highlight film. There's nothing bad on it. It's all good.
Exactly right.
You understand that? I know you do.
Yes, sir.
Well, I know it's a difficult question to run through, but in your 63 years, and you look at it, it's still 22 guys on the field. From a strategic standpoint, what's the biggest change you think has been made in football?
The kids now feel more worried. They watch TV. They get a coaching clinic every time they watch a basketball game with the color commentators. They get a coaching clinic every time they watch football. You got to tell them straight up anymore, and that's something that I've always tried to do, to be honest with them and tell them how I felt, and that I may be wrong, but if I'm wrong, the cream will generally come to the top. And I tell the parents the same thing. And the biggest difference I see is they're a little more knowledgeable now. You got better skilled athletes now. You got weight rooms and nutrition, and you know that too from your experience with athletics, that they're bigger and stronger and faster than they used to be.
Talking with John McKissick, the legendary Somerville football coach who announced his retirement today at the age of 88. Let me, the Post and Courier, David Shelton, compiled some numbers on Coach McKissick. 621 wins, 10 state championships, 37 region championships, 41 consecutive wins from 78 to 80, 3 consecutive state titles from 82 to 84, 7 current or former players who played in the NFL, 2 books by Billy Baker on the coach. And how about this one, Coach? Your 1952 starting salary was $2,700.
That was a lot of money, wasn't it? You know, the superintendent told me Somerville was a good place, and people, when Harvey Kirkland left and went to Newberry, they applied for the job. And I asked him when I got the job, I said, how did I get the job? He said, you never did ask what the salary was.
Coach, hang on one second. We're going to hit a quick break. And if you would, I want to ask you a few more questions before we let you go. Talking with John McKissick from Somerville. He'll always be from Somerville, even though he might not be coaching. He's always going to be John McKissick from Somerville. We'll finish up our chat with him in just a moment here on Sports Talk. All right, back with you on Sports Talk. Couple of more minutes with John McKissick on the day that he announces his retirement after 63 years as a football coach at Summerville. 621 wins, Coach, and as has been well documented, more wins than anybody else, any level of football. We're talking more than the Bear, more than Bowden, more than Lombardi, Hallis. And it's possibly out of reach, though I know that coach in Louisiana might have a chance if he coaches long enough. But, you know, to be above and beyond everybody else in your profession, how does that make you feel?
Well, I feel good for all the kids that played for me and all the people here in Somerville that's backed me and been a big part of my career. That makes me feel good, and I don't worry about the guy down in Louisiana. He's at a private school, and if he needs a quarterback, he can recruit. If he needs a linebacker, he can recruit. And we have to take the ones which I like better and try to make a player out of them, if whatever position that we want him to be in.
Who was the single toughest in South Carolina, the single toughest coach you opposed that you remember standing across the field from and looking across the way and thinking, that's one tough son of a gun over there?
Pinky Bab.
How'd you do against him?
We only played him, we played Greenwood twice. They beat us in the state championship game in Williams-Brice Stadium. And then we played a playoff game here in Somerville, and we won. So, but he always had the real tough kids, and they were a tough opponent.
Pinky Babb, another legendary coach. Did you ever face Willie Varner?
We never played. Willie and I played against each other in the All-Star game. It was my third time to be a coach in the North-South game, and he coached the Upper State and I coached the Lower State, and the Upper State won the game. Mm-hmm. But anyway, he was a great guy too and a good coach. All
right. So what will you do this coming football season? How will you keep yourself busy?
Well, I'm gonna go to the games, and I'm gonna pull like I don't know what for them, and I'm not going to criticize them. If they throw a pass and it's incomplete, I'm not going to say, why the devil did they do that? And then if they run off tackle and gain 50 yards, I'm not going to get up and holler and say that's the right call, because it's a blame game, and just like life is a blame game, and I'm just going to pull for them, and everything's not going to be perfect for the team, so I'm not going to criticize at all.
Do you like where football is today with all the changes and everything that's being talked about related to health and concussions and this, that, and the other, and the type of football that's being played out there, and the 7-on-7 leagues and the recruiting and the spread and all that? Do you like what you're leaving behind?
Well, what it is, Phil, I'm really against closed and open seasons, because it puts the bind on the kids. And 98% of all the pro athletes play two or more sports in high school. And the biggest fault I got right now is they want them all to specialize. And you got baseball all summer, you got soccer, you got basketball. They play a game every day the whole month of June. And the kids in that air conditioning, they don't want to go out for football out there and work. They'd rather be in that air conditioned gym bouncing the ball. And I think it's a disservice to the kids. I think it puts pressure on them, because they feel like if I'm not out there with the basketball team, then I won't make it in the January when they start basketball. Mm-hmm. And I think it's bad.
Mm. Coach, again, congratulations on everything. I look forward to seeing you sometime during the upcoming season. I hope our paths will cross, and I hope you have a great, long retirement with the wife of 63 years as well. And I hope you guys just have a great rest of your lives. And we hope to see you again and talk to you again soon.
I enjoy what you do, Phil.
Thank you, Coach. And it's a pleasure and an honor to have you with us on Sports Talk. John McKissick. And, you know, look, I'm not ashamed to say when I talk to this man or when I'm sitting next to him, I just feel humbled because you're in the presence of greatness. And he is indeed an asset to the state of South Carolina. And it's been great knowing him as a football coach. And I hope we get many more opportunities to talk with him here on Sports Talk and see him in person. And thanks to John McKissick for being with us tonight. Back in a moment. Once again, thanks to John McKissick for visiting with us here on Sports Talk tonight. Going to miss him. Going to miss him tremendously during the football season. All right, to recruiting now. Defensive end Ron Johnson from Camden, New Jersey, highly recruited player. He was at USC for their camp Saturday. USC, Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan State, Virginia, West Virginia, Tennessee, Arizona State, Missouri, Rutgers, and others on his offer list. He will soon get his list down to 5, like around July 20th. And he said South Carolina will make the cut. Really likes G.A. Mangus and had a good workout with Deke Adams at the camp. He's going to Penn State this week, going to try to visit Michigan in July. He and his teammate, receiver Brad Hawkins, would like to attend the same school. Hawkins is favoring USC and Michigan at this point. Offensive lineman Chandler Reeves of McDonough, Georgia, who's down to Clemson and Georgia Tech, and he plans a decision within a couple of weeks. He was at Clemson's camp last week and picked up an offer from the Tigers. Then he was back at Clemson Saturday with his parents for a closer look, which he got the full treatment, tour of the campus, academics, facilities, met with Dabo Swinney in the office. And he is really, really high on Dabo Swinney and Clemson. And also Robbie Caldwell, who he met with for about 45 minutes. Then yesterday he went to Georgia Tech with his father, and they had a terrific day, he said. He said they did a spectacular job showing him around just as Clemson did. So now he's just going to take some time and think about it and make a decision trying to decide what's going to be the best place for him. One thing he told me earlier in talking to him was the option offense that Georgia Tech runs. That's very good from a run blocking standpoint, but Clemson, of course, gives you a little more diversity in what they do with their offensive linemen. Clemson offered 2017 linebacker Levi Draper of Collinsville, Oklahoma last night. Offensive lineman Will Putnam of Harrisburg, North Carolina, will visit Virginia Tech on Thursday. He's also going to get in touch with USC about another visit this week there. He's going to North Carolina Friday. USC yesterday offered offensive lineman Garrett Bowles of Snow Junior College in Tennessee, in Utah. He is a national recruit, many offers. Defensive back Mark Gilbert of Fayetteville, North Carolina, committed to Duke today. He also had a USC offer. Basketball, 6'6" Jalen Johnson of Durham was at Clemson on Sunday. Yesterday got an offer from the Tigers, Wake Forest, Texas Tech, Old Dominion, VCU, Greensboro, Wilmington, Appalachian, George Washington, Radford, High Point, and Gardner-Webb have also offered 12 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists per game last season. Clemson is pretty high up on his list right now. He's going to Virginia on Friday. He does not have any favorites at this point, and he hopes to be able to make a decision to be able to sign in November. There you go with recruiting here on Sports Talk. Braves Report coming up, your phone calls and more in our next hour.